Hello everyone, welcome to Brilliant Bankers. Today in the session, we will be going through the chapter facilities for exporters and importers in bank financial management. So we will be understanding about the exchange and trade control guidelines that are applicable to the exporters and importers, and also various credit and non-credit facilities that are available to them. About the introduction, we will be going through the guidelines. In India, the export trade is facilitated by the DGFT, that is the Directorate General of Foreign Trade, which functions under the Ministry of Commerce and Industries of the Government of India, where the policies and procedures for export trade are announced by the DGFT under, and financing of the export trade and facilities are granted under the FEMA regulations, which are governed by the RBI regulations. The Reserve Bank of India regulates the exchange control and receipts through various guidelines and FEMA amendments, while the Office of the Director General of Foreign Trade, the DGFT, regulates the trade control part through their foreign trade policy, that is the FTP. The International Chamber of Commerce, as an apex organization for the international trade transactions across the global facilities, guides the parties to the trade through their documents like the UCP 600, URC 522, and the Incoterms 2020. UCP 600, as you have already learned about, is the Uniform Customs and Practices. URC is the Uniform Rules for Collection, and the Incoterms is International Commercial Terms. The FEDI, the Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India, that we have learned in the FEMA Act or the Foreign Exchange Chapter, is self-regulatory organization established in 1958 with the approval of the RBI associates in promoting growth of India's external sector and contributes to the development of the foreign exchange markets by promoting best practices in the conducting foreign exchange businesses. The ADs have to ensure compliance of several guidelines, including not allowing the banned or restricted items of export or import without the proper approvals. Now let's go deep into this chapter. Let's see about the exchange and trade control guidelines for the exporters. Initially, we will be going through the each and every topic, that is importer and exporter code numbers, export declaration forms, the prescribed time limits for each and every, and what are the prescribed method of payment in these guidelines. The first thing is the importer and exporter code number. Every person, firm, company that is engaged in the export or import of anything should have a IEC number, that is an import or export code number. It is a unique number or the unique registration number for international trade, and which is to be quoted in all the declarations and forms in their export and import operations. And who are they? Who are the officials, or which is the office that is dealing with the IEC numbers? If a person, firm, or company is dealing in trade of import or export, in that condition, DGFT is the person who gives them the number, IEC number. If they are in the import and export of services, in that condition, SEPC, the Services Export Promotion Council, or the Federation of Indian Exporters Organization, is the group that is providing the IEC number. If a person, firm, or a company is a software exporter, in that case, they have to be registered with the Software Technology Park of India. So this is a registration number of the firm or company for international trade, and the exporter or importer has to invariably code this code number in all declaration forms, of which are being now explained. So let's go into the export declaration forms. So what are these export declaration forms? As per FEMA, all export of goods from India, whether in physical form or like services or the software, requires to be declared in prescribed forms to the effect that the full value of the exports will be realized within the prescribed period and in the prescribed manner. The prescribed forms are the GR form, the PP form, the Softex, and the EDF. So, what is a GR form? If any export or import is made in ways other than that of a post, that is not through a post, in that condition, a GR form is to be raised. So, what is a PP form? Whenever any export or import is made through a post parcel, when it is sent through a post made by a post parcel, in that condition, it is made by a PP form. What is a Softex? Softex is an export of software in a non-physical form. Softex is an export of software in a non-physical form. What is EDF? EDF is export other than that softwares made by all modes. Exports other than that of softwares made by all the modes. As on date, with the introduction of the EDI system, that is the electronic data interchange system, at certain customs offices where the shipping bills are processed electronically, the GR form has been replaced by the EDF, that is the export declaration form. So the GR form has been replaced by the export declaration form in few centers where they do have the electronic data in the chain system. The EDF form should be submitted in duplicate to the concerned Commissioner of Customs. After verifying and authenticating the declaration in the form EDF, the customs will hand over the same to the exporter, and one copy of the shipping bill is marked exchange control copy, in which form EDF has been approved for being submitted to the authorized dealer. Now, there are few exemptions for the same also, for which the EDF is not required. The exemptions following are the exemptions or following exports or shipments out of India are exempted from the EDF as per Regulation 4 of the FEMA. And they are the trade samples. What is a trade sample? Trade samples are samples that are sent out of the country, or trade samples of goods and publicity material supplied free of payment. In the future, a seller wants to sell something or want to export something. So he sends a sample of his product to another country. So in this condition, EDF is not to be filed. Personal effects of travelers, whether accompanied or unaccompanied. The ship store or the transshipment cargo and the goods supplied under the orders of the central government or such officers as may be appointed by the central government in its behalf or of the military. So anything purchased under the order of the central government or for the military, naval or air force authorities in India, all these are exempted from EDF. Any goods or software that which is not above US dollars 25,000 is exempted from the EDF. Aircraft or aircraft engines and their spare parts, which are being sent for overhauling and which will be coming back, which will be imported back, are exempted from EDF. Goods imported free of cost for the re-export basis are also exempted from EDF, not exceeding 100,000. Sorry, any goods not exceeding 1,000 US dollars per transaction to Myanmar are also exempted from the EDF. There are some more exempted items like the goods sent outside India for testing, subject to re-import, to India, defective goods sent outside India for repair and re-import provided the goods are accompanied by a certificate from the authorized dealer in India that the export is for repair and re-import and that the export does not involve any transaction in foreign exchange. And all exports that are permitted by the Reserve Bank on application made to it, subject to the terms and conditions, if any, as mentioned in the application that is made to the Reserve Bank. Now, coming to the prescribed time limits of all these transactions. Prescribed time limits can be mentioned in two ways: for the submission of the export document and for realization of the export bills. For submission of the export documents, it should be submitted within 21 days. An exporter is required to submit the export documents along with the duplicate control copy of the EDF form within 21 days from the date of export of anything or from the date of certification of the SOFTEX form to an authorized dealer for collection, purchase, discount, or negotiation, as the case may be. The authorized dealer may accept the documents pertaining to export submitted of the expiry of the specified period of 21 days for any reasons that is beyond his control. Even in case of direct shipment of goods, the documents are to be submitted. Coming to the case of the realization of export, the value of export to be realized and repatriated. So anything, the amount representing the full export value of goods or software or services, export shall be realized and repatriated to India within 9 months. Within 9 months from the date of export. However, there is a small relaxation, which in case where the goods are exported to a warehouse and with the permission of RBI, it can be relaxed up to a period of 15 months from the date of shipment of goods. Further, the Reserve Bank, or subject to the directions of the issue by the bank in its behalf, the authorized dealer may, for a sufficient and reasonable cost shown, extend the period of 9 months to 15 months, as the case that may be. In any case, if it is not realized, the exporter is to apply to the authorized dealer for the extension of the period. All overdue bills which are not realized are to be followed up and reported back to the RBI. If the bill is not realized within this time stipulated, the exporter should also apply to his AD for extension of the time in a ETX form, that is an extension form. And all overdue bills which are not realized within the due date should be followed by vigorously should be followed up vigorously by the authorized dealers. So what are the prescribed method of payment? The prescribed method of payment in all this. The payment for exports proceeds should be received through the medium of authorized dealers in any of the following formats. And this is specified as per the Foreign Exchange Management Regulations 2016 and notified under FEMA 14, dated May 2, 2016. Every receipt in foreign currency by an authorized dealer, whether by way of remittance from a foreign country or by way of remittance from his branch or correspondent outside India, against payment for export from India or any other payment, shall be mentioned as the form of bank draft, a pay order, in the form of a foreign currency note, a traveler's check from the buyer, payment out of FCNR or a NRE account of the buyer, through international credit cards when goods are sold during the overseas visit to the exporter concerned. In Indian rupee, when transactions are with the persons resident in Nepal and Bhutan, and also in the form of gold, silver, or platinum, by gem and jewelry units that is situated in the special economic zones, provided the contracts are for the same. All these payments are to be received through the authorized dealers only. However, in exceptional cases, where the track record of the exporter is good, ADs will accept the amount received by the exporters directly by check, DD, etc. So this is all for the guidelines of the stop start. This is all for the guidelines of the exchange and trade control guidelines of the exporters. Now coming to the facilities of remittances, that is facilities or remittances that is connected with exports. Now we are only talking about exports. So there are a few headings like agency commission on exports, the commission that is received on exports, the reduction in the invoice value, that is discounting of the invoice value, the refunds of the export proceeds, how refund of the sale is being done, how the writing of the unrealized export bills are done, what will be the effective date of realization of those bills, and what are foreign currency account. First, let's go to the agency commission on export. Agency commission is allowed either by the remittance of deduction from invoice value by the authorized dealers, subject to a condition that it is declared in the relative EDF and accepted by the customs authorities. It is already declared in the EDF if that it is already declared in the EDF about the commission and accepted by the customs authorities, and the relative shipment has already been made. If not declared, in this case, where the commission has not been declared on EDF or SOFTEX form, remittance may be allowed after satisfying the reasons provided by the exporter for not declaring the commission on the export declaration form, and provided a valid agreement between the exporters and or the beneficiary for the payment of the commission that exists. The relative shipment has already should have been already made in the same condition also. Now coming back to the next point, what is reduction in the invoice value? Exporters may allow reduction in the invoice value on account of the cash discount to overseas buyers for prepayment of the usance bill. The discount can be allowed for the unexpired period at the stipulated rate of interest on a benchmark of the currency. That is the alternate reference rate. Normally, the alternate reference rate is the labor rate. So the exporters may allow a discount to the importers if they are paying or they are going for a prepayment of the usance bill. In that condition, there can be a discount. Or where an export bill has been negotiated or sent for collection, if reduction in invoice value is required to be allowed, in this condition, the ADs can approve the reduction if satisfaction about the genuineness of the request is cleared, and the reduction can be up to a maximum of 25% of the invoice value, and the person should not be in the exporters caution list of the RBI, and the exporters should not be in the exporters caution list of the RBI. The reduction can also be allowed without any percentage restrictions if in case the exporter is in the export business for the last 3 years and his track record is satisfactory, and the export bills outstanding in the account is not more than 5% of the average annual export turnover of the preceding 3 financial years or the 3 calendar years. Whatever that is, it can be taken. So he should not have an outstanding in his account of more than 5% of his average annual export turnover. The outstanding of exports to countries facing externalization problems may be ignored for the purpose of reckoning the percentage of export bills. Coming to the next point, that is refund of exports and proceeds. It can be done, it can be allowed by the ADs through whom the proceeds of export bill were originally received, provided the exporter has submitted the evidence of re-import of goods into India on account of poor quality, trade, on a dispute, etc. However, in such cases, the ADs must exercise due diligence regarding the track record of the exporter, verify the bona fide of the transaction, obtain from the exporter a certificate that is issued by the DGFT or the customs authorities that no incentives have been availed by the exporter against the relevant export or the proportionate incentives availed, if any, for the relevant export that has been surrendered. Should obtain an undertaking from the exporter that the goods will be re-imported within 3 months from the date of remittance and ensure that all the procedures as applicable to normal imports are adhered to also. So what is the extension of the are also adhered? Write-off of unrealized export bills. An exporter who has been able to realize the outstanding exports dues despite of his best efforts may either self write off or approach an AD category 1 bank who has handled the relevant shipping documents with appropriate supporting documentary evidences. In this condition, the RBI has prescribed limits and conditions for self write off as well as write off by ADs, which should be adhered to. And the conditions are: when a self write off is being done, if the exporter is a status holder exporter, he can write off up to 10% of the exports realized in the last calendar year. The exporter can self write off up to 5% of an exports realized in the last calendar year who is a person other than that of a status. Apart from the above self write off by the exporters, AD can write off up to 10% of the exports realized by the captioned exporter in the last calendar year. The provision to write off is reckoned on a cumulative basis. So these are the points that are to be considered in the case of write off. What is the effective date of realization? In terms of the FEDI rules, the effective date of realization of an export bill is the date of credit in the bank's nostro account. In case of foreign currency bills and in case of rupee bills, the effective date of realization is the date of debit in the vostro account. As such, in case of foreign currency bills, the value date of credit is taken as the date of credit and interest charge up to this date on advance is allowed against the particular export bill. In this case, is allowed on the particular export bill. So what are the foreign currency accounts? The foreign currency accounts. This is mainly for the dealing of the exporter and importer. It is of three types. The overseas foreign currency account. The Reserve Bank of India permits the following entities to open, hold, and maintain the foreign currency accounts in India or in foreign countries, subject to certain stipulations. Exporters may open foreign currency accounts in foreign countries or in India to hold export proceeds for the purpose of making payments for the goods imported. This can be opened to save on the exchange fluctuation, as also operating cost and time in bringing the proceeds into India and remit back for the payment purchases. I think everything is clear word to word. It is to escape from that of the exchange fluctuations and also reducing the time from bringing the cash to India and then remit back for the payment purposes. Participants in international trade or fairs or exhibitions have been allowed to open a temporary foreign currency account to deposit the sales proceed. But in this condition, the balance of the proceeds is to be repatriated within 1 month from the close of the trade fair or exhibition. What is a diamond dollar account? Exporters and importers dealing in rough and polished diamonds or the diamond studded jewelry with track record of at least 2 years and an average export turnover of rupees 3 crores can open a DDA account, that is a diamond dollar account, with an AD for transacting business in a foreign exchange. An exporter can maintain up to a maximum of 5 DDAs, that is a diamond dollar account. This is something important which is to be noted down, the diamond dollar account. And I can assure you that there will be a question in each and every exam on this diamond dollar account. What is EEFC? EEFC account is an exchange earners foreign currency account. A person resident in India may open with an AD1 category bank in India an account in foreign currency called the EEFC. In terms of regulation 4 of the Foreign Exchange Management Act or Regulations 2015, any person resident in India who is an earner in foreign currency can open and maintain in an authorized dealer in India a foreign currency account known as the EEFC account. Exporters can currently credit up to 100% of the inward payments received in the foreign currency to his account, subject to a condition that the sum total of the accruals in the account during the calendar month should be converted to rupees on or before the last day of the succeeding calendar month. And the account is maintained as a current account and it's a non-interest bearing account. So that's it for the day. Any questions or any doubts or queries can be updated in the comment section of the video. We are ready to answer your queries and questions. Thank you for watching the video. Do like, share, and subscribe our channel. This is Brilliant Bankers, and I am Nishant signing off. Jai Hind.